Princely Umanmielen took to the mic, I believe it was yesterday, and gave some interesting comments about his former team in the Florida Gators. Now, to give you context, Princely Umanmielen was at Florida for a long time. Princely Umanmielen has since transferred to Ole Miss. He's a super talented edge and will contribute in a big way for Ole Miss this year. But here's what he had to say after spring practice at Ole Miss.
My attacking the run game a little bit, but I feel like here I'm getting coached harder for things like that. You know, I feel like at Florida, like the way I was coached, it was kind of like, it was almost as if like they was just telling me to go out there and use my talent, if that makes sense. But here, you know, Coach Lou and Coach Joyner, they really on me about the little things, you know, attacking the run. Coach Lou really goes through the progressions of the drops and the routes that are being run when I have to go into coverage. Like when I was at Florida, it was like they would just tell me, go drop to this area, and I would have to figure out everything else on my own. But here, you know, they go real into depth. I feel like I'm actually getting, you know, developed here.
So I don't think Princely Umanmielen is just putting Florida in the crosshairs and went to the mic and is like, all right, I'm about to get after these dudes. Like I'm about to just make sure I make a story out of my press conference with my former team. I don't think that was the approach there. I think he tried to prop up his current coaching staff and tried to, you know, say some positive things that he genuinely felt about the people coaching him now and say how that was a positive transition for him. But whenever, you know, you kind of try and raise something up, that backhand, man, is pesky. So the backhand kind of hit Florida in an unfortunate circumstance, in an unfortunate way. And this is also kind of compounded by the fact that this is now the second instance in the last month or so of somebody having something negative to say about Florida and Billy Napier. And the key thing here, it's not just that they feel a certain way about Florida or it's their opinion. Like, they have an issue from an organizational standpoint from people that have been pretty close to the organization. Steve Spurrier talking about how he wishes things were a little bit more tidy organizationally with Billy Napier and the way that they have put together their staff and things like that, with how many support staff members they had. He had some things to say about that. Now here's Princely Umanmielen saying he's getting better coaching and better development while he's at Ole Miss. So, again, we're kind of adding into the fear, if you're a Florida fan, of like, hey, what's going on behind closed doors? Because you see what happens on the field, but then when you hear people talk about what's happening behind the scenes, whether it be the staff, whether it be development, whatever it is, and you hear them say something negative about that, that starts to set off the alarm, and you kind of start to fill in the blanks in your head, and you're like, well, okay, does this staff just not have it together? We just have guys that don't know what they're doing. We got guys leaving our school, going to another SEC school and saying the coaching is better. Like, what is going on here? Again, Princely Umanmielen, I don't think he was trying to get after Florida. And is this unfortunate? If you're a Florida fan, if you're the folks in Gainesville today, yeah. Is it a bad look of sorts? Yeah, I think you could probably have that be a fair statement, that it's not necessarily great optically. But like anything, we need to provide context. Context is just crucial for any conversation on this show, but especially right here, because when you talk about coaching, I think it's as much about the coach as it is about the player. Like, I'll just say this, from when I played football, some of my best coaches that I got along with and that I think I played the best for, they did a great job not overcoaching something. Like, there is such a thing as providing too much detail and too much oversight and being overbearing with how you coach things. Now, Princely Umanmielen is saying, when I went to Florida, they kind of just let me play ball and allowed me to rely on my talent a little bit more. And he's saying at Ole Miss, they're giving him a little bit more of a tutelage of doing things more of a detail-oriented fashion, which is great, like great for Princely Umanmielen. But the same player may respond differently to that kind of coaching at Ole Miss that he does at Florida. And so what I'm trying to say here is what you do as a player and as in the way that you're coached, it's very much so predicated on how you respond to that coaching. Also, it's worth noting here, these are different schemes between Florida and Ole Miss. Like, just to call a spade here, like, Ole Miss's defense is different than Florida's defense. What Florida asked Princely Umanmielen to do might be a little bit less technical than what Ole Miss is going to ask him to do. It's also like Princely Umanmielen was also very productive at Florida. He had 7 sacks last year. So say what you want about coaching and development, like, he was also still a very solid player for Florida a season ago. So I understand now this is going to set some alarms off for people. This is going to frustrate some people and kind of cause them to question the organization again. And here's my whole thing on this. Like, is this making noise if we're playing football games on Saturdays? Probably not. Is it having the same effect if people don't have this label over Florida and this roster that they're a 5-7 team and that Billy Napier's got issues? Again, probably not. This whole thing is being amplified because of the time of year and because of how people view Florida right now. So it's unfortunate, but like when you look at what Florida is right now in the offseason, there's nothing that Billy Napier can take the mic and respond to Princely Umanmielen or any other player respond to Princely Umanmielen that's going to change the narrative or change the optics around this whole thing. What I think needs to happen here is games need to start being played. Because you know what would kind of change the narrative around Florida? You know what would really cause everyone to just forget Princely Umanmielen and Steve Spurrier saying things? Is if they beat Miami week 1 in the Swamp. That would change the entire view of Florida. That would be what really turns the tide here. And to go a step further, if someone else comes out here in the next couple of weeks and says something negative about Florida, doesn't matter, right? Like the folks at Florida are like, okay, we get it. People feel a certain way about us. We've had people be close to this organization and have negative things to say. It is what it is. Let's get to playing football games. Come back and talk to us after we beat Texas A&M. Come talk to us if we're undefeated going into that game against Georgia. Like, that's really, I think, what they're hoping can happen here in the near future. So overall, I think we're very overreactionary beings, just as humans. It's in our nature. We see something, we immediately digest it and give our take right away on it. We don't like to have things baked. We don't like to provide context. There's some nuance here. I don't think Princely Umanmielen is trying to throw shade at his former coach and that old staff. Like, he's just trying to prop up Ole Miss and say good things about where he's at currently. Good for Princely Umanmielen. Unfortunate how it all sort of shook out. But, again, I don't think he's trying to get after Florida. And for Florida, again, it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be about playing ball games. And I think the context of how Princely Umanmielen responds to Ole Miss's coaching should not directly be a reflection on how you feel about that staff out there in Gainesville. So it's March. We got press conferences. We got folks saying things. And with that, we got headlines being made. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.